Well, hello, hello, and hello. We're doing this comic therapy chat or whatever. My channel. Your Crack's channel is never know what he's up to, what kind of thing he's gonna call. I am very consistent these days. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just. I like the name. I'm sticking to it 17 times already. Going strong.
That's
So how
pretty
you?
good. Yeah, it's good that you're numbering them. I like
Yeah,
17 just on your channel too, right? So
just yeah, exactly. It becomes very impressive. But in generally, that's cool. Like to have that. I think it's easier to know. Not that I need to desperately know how many times we have done that, but it's kind of nice to look and not think about it. You know what I mean? So how's you been?
pretty good. What happened this week? I wish had some stories. I got no stories for you. It's been just a regular old week. It's beautiful outside, so I'm sitting outside again.
Oh,
Good hello afternoon, good evening, good day.
hello,
Um, it's
Damien.
nice to sit
Hello.
outside, so we'll see how it goes. There's a bit of a wind, so I'll keep remembering to mute myself and
Yeah.
so we don't cause too much disturbance.
So there's what some celebration in USA. What is it? Something they have days off on. So I'm not sure if people will be around. Hey Jackie
Right.
O,
Yeah,
how
they got
was
a long weekend
your
this weekend.
solo camping trip? Did you? Well, you're
Yes.
here, so you survived. No bears attacks. No
Yep.
bear
Not
attacked you.
eaten by wolves. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Yeah, the weather is improving significantly. It's becoming more difficult to sit down in the house and read comics. Need to find a different places. Like you go outside, maybe. I used to do that as well. I used to have, but it depends of the timing, and I kind of get annoyed by neighbors, even though there's not many. I don't know how about you, but you have like this nice cluster. It seems to be you have trees and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, but I mean, that's the neighbor's house right there. They got windows open. On the other
uh,
side, same thing, right? So it's I
yeah,
feel the same. I feel the same way. Sometimes I'm a little self conscious sitting outside and chatting, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. I'd much rather sit outside and work through that than hovel in the basement all the time.
yeah,
Hello, Donald Rex.
yeah. Hello, hello. Well, just pretend we're in a very important business meeting. So that's it. You chatting via Zoom.
That's
You
right.
as
Yes, very,
yeah,
very important. Yeah.
yeah, very across. Oh, look, he says he survived very. Oh, it did rain some overnight, which was nice. Oh, cool. That's really calming. At the beginning, I find it really loud if you're especially in a tent and it rains, pours, like it's really loud. Then suddenly you feel like 5 minutes later and it's still raining. You're like, oh, that's actually soothing. So it's really calming. Makes you extremely sleepy. I don't know how about you.
It depends. One of the times we went camping, it rained for probably about half of our trip. We were there for like 10 days. So there was like 5 days where I think that was the year we actually left a day early because it was just raining right at the end, day after day after day, where,
Oh
a
crap.
little bit is fine, but then it wouldn't stop. And it was like, well, we're just holed up in our trailer. Why don't we just go home and be holed up inside the house where it's a lot more comfortable, right? So,
Yeah, it's
but yeah,
funny
normally
how
a little bit of rain is fine.
it is when you're camping around, like the beginning you say, oh my god, it's so nice to get away, you have all the nature in the world, but then the weather hits and you stay in that little whatever trailer or tent, it becomes kind of like cramped, especially if you have more than two or
Well, especially
three.
as the kids are getting bigger, right? Like Jaden is 17 and my
Yeah,
height, and Lillian is 9 and getting big too. So there's
yeah,
even less space.
exactly. And you look at your kids and say, why are you growing? Just stop it. Enough is enough. So yeah, that's cool though. I like camping stuff. I don't know. I do like it. It's like romanticism. Go on.
I was just going to say, I love it as well too. I'm hoping we can go this summer. My brother is coming 3 weeks today. He's coming to visit for like a good month and a bit, right? So I'm
Oh,
hoping that we can get away camping while he's here as well too, because we have the trailer plus we got a tent as well. So we'll have enough sleeping spaces for everybody. So I think that would be great to go. I can't wait. But again, with work and stuff, it's always the thing. With my wife working on set, it's always will we have time off? Will she be on a show? You know what I mean? So it's always difficult to organize.
mm. Well, at least it's exciting. You're gonna see your brother, who is being hauled away in different parts of the world. Okay, cool. So I haven't watched anything overly exciting. I
No,
haven't
me
gone to
neither.
cinema. I
Yep.
haven't done that kind of things. I guess I'm more into outdoorsy stuff, and yeah, it's kind of interesting how that goes now. Yeah, but I want to still see this in the Guardians movie. I definitely do. I'm keen. But not anything else. So you remember I was talking to you about that very scary TV show? So I found out what's the name of it. It's called From.
From FROM.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I'll have to look for it.
Yeah. So that's the actor from that TV show I was talking about. He's the main guy. I don't know why I keep on talking about horror TV show, which I don't even watch the trailer or not even watch an episode. But there you go. I'm advertising for free. People, if you like your horror, go watch it. Apparently, it's great. I can't vouch for it though.
Last weekend, me and my son watched we watched an anthology movie, and now as soon as I start talking, of course, the name is gone from my head. I'll look it up, but something of evil, and it was these it was folk tales from around the world. So I think it was 8 different directors doing little short films within this one overarching kind of movie. It was great. Most of them were fantastic. There was only one that wasn't as good. It was because it was a little too kind of stereotypical hillbillies in the mountains kind of thing, kidnapping
Oh,
people and inbreeding, and it was a little too
oh.
kind of dull. The rest were really cool though, because they, like Russian folk tales and from Poland as well. I'll find the name later on and I'll mention it, but it was damn good.
Yeah, the Russian folktales are what that's why I grew up on too, as well, and still to this day I think I that Baba Yaga and the house on one chicken leg, that just still freaks me out to this day. I mean, not freaks me out, but it like gives me shiver spines, because she's always like the most scariest part of the folklore. But I think that's the Magnola's source of information where he starts churning his like a really good Hellboy series because of those folk tales. So some people can take advantage of that, and it's really well written. So of course it's great.
Isn't there? Did I read something? Speaking of Mignola, didn't I read
Uh-huh.
something about a new Hellboy movie being currently in production, maybe written, and I think they were looking to draw from the story he did with Corbin, the Crooked Man or something. Is that what that story is called in there in the Hellboy stuff? Anyway, I seem to remember reading something recently. Maybe somebody knows in the chat. Maybe someone's heard of it.
It might be true about having to. I heard something about Hellboy movie, but like when they speak about it, like, oh maybe or maybe not. So, but we never know when it's gonna happen until you see the trailer and you're like, oh okay, there you go, we have something coming out. But yeah, it was always a rumors of new. But the last one they did with that, is it Stranger Things actor who was doing it? I didn't
No
even.
clue. I didn't see it.
No, I didn't watch it, so that's how much the Hellboy movies are interested in me. You Slippery would agree if it would be that the thing. Yeah, it's lots of things what Magnolia stuff you can kind of be interested into. Anyway, so yeah, I haven't, as I say, I haven't watched anything. So if you haven't even, so we can talk.
I haven't at all.
We can. Do you want to start with comics? Whatever. We haven't, by the way, people. Just in advance warning, we haven't read that much, so we're not gonna be boring you for too long.
Yeah, no, I didn't read a ton. And then the couple of things that I did read, like read 5 issues of one series, 2 issues of another series. So I'm reading a new one with Lillian.
Uh-huh. Are you gonna show that one
One
off?
sec here. Yeah, I'm gonna in one sec.
Mm-hmm. Careful, don't burn your comics.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was looking for a spot. We've been reading. I think Damien was reading this as well too. This Tooth and Claw, Autumn Lands.
I
You
did,
read
but
it as well, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like something happened to it that was delayed, and I don't think I've finished, or did I? I always have this feeling that I've never finished reading the story.
Yeah, well, and I think that's exactly the thing with me. Like I think I bought, I don't know, I'm sure I bought the first issue and maybe 1 or 2 more, but I and as much as I was enjoying it, I just
Mhm.
never followed up with it, right? So,
Yeah.
so I'm reading it with Lillian, which is, you know, kind of a mixed thing. I would not say that this is something that's for kids necessarily.
Mm.
There's a bit of cursing in there. There's quite a bit of violence, but it's kind of it's so cartoony because it's these animals throughout it, right? Um,
Yeah.
this world of animals, and they're sort of divided into two groups. What I love is they have this kind of every single issue
Mhm.
they've got just a page like this that's like it's taken from a book.
Yeah.
um like I don't know if it's supposed to be like a kid's book. It seems to sort of change themes. They don't always directly relate to what's going on, but yeah, we're really liking it. So 14 issues I've got. Oh, I see, they never finished it. They claim it's coming back, because I've got the 14 issues apparently that are out now, you know what I mean, and I've had them
Mhm.
for a while, but I
Mhm.
just haven't dug into them again. So it's this world of like magic is kind of how everything is based to some degree, with these people that live in the skies and these people that live, or these animals that live on the earth. Yeah, very commandy, for sure. One of the things I noticed in one of the issues is I started reading it in my head and maybe a little bit out loud, like I was reading a Winnie the Pooh story, because there was parts where they're based when they try some magic to bring back this champion. Their magic is running out, sort of, and they
Mhm.
they feel like if they can bring the champion back, bring the champion to the future from the past, that's going to help replenish their magic. So they do this spell. This is just the setup in the first issue, so it's not much spoilers or anything.
Mhm.
Um, and everything goes horribly wrong. So
Mhm.
the city in the sky starts to crumble and crashes to the earth. So because that happens, they start kind of existing just in this one little space on the ground. And there was something about the flow of the dialogue. It's written by Kurt Busiek.
Mhm.
Dewey is the artist. Belair is the colorist, and then Comic
Mhm.
Craft on the lettering. Because there was something about the flow of even the way that some of the dialogue was written that just reminded me of Winnie the Pooh, the animals constantly talking over each other, the
Mhm.
way they were kind of speaking. Um, yeah, it's I'm really enjoying it, and honestly, Lily's really getting into it as well. Like we read 4 and 5 just the other night.
Uh-huh.
Um, and she's really into it. By the end of issue 4, she was already like, "Oh, who do you like? Who's your favorite character?" And I think this is what's going to happen. And what if this happens? Wouldn't that, you know? So she's really getting
That's a very
into
good
it.
time.
So that's kind of fun. Yeah. So
Mhm.
even though there's the odd f bomb, which she comments, "Man, he's always dropping f bombs," and there's a little bit of violence that does happen at times. Especially when the champion kind of makes his appearance and sort of saves them from an attack.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but I mean, the main thing is it's gorgeous art. I really love the way this looks, and the story is super entertaining. Like it keeps you kind of guessing as to what's going to happen next. You know, and as much as she's curious, I'm curious where it's going to go. It's not one of those books where you feel like you have an idea of what's
Mhm.
going to happen. I mean, there's some basic kind of storytelling things going on, but I just like the whole world, and the whole way it's presented is very, very cool. So
Okay,
you
cool.
read all 14,
I think
or you
so.
said you didn't finish?
No, I don't know. I have somewhere. I don't know where exactly it is. But yeah, I love Benjamin Dewey's art. I think he's superb in there, and I think what really draws the fantasy world into such a very imaginary. And I think Kurt Busiek is the guy who basically probably the scripts are really imaginative as well. I mean, of course, they draws from the artists as well to create that stuff, but it seems to be they really work together well in creating the world they have presented. And animals and that kind of is still yeah, it's called yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
they
is what
had
it
a
was
problem with
supposed to be
that.
called. That's right, because at the beginning it was Tooth and Claw, and then in issue 2,
Yeah,
Kurt kind of does a little editorial thing, and he says, "You're probably wondering what's changed, what's wrong with the name, or why is the name changed." I
yeah.
guess it was always supposed to be called Autumn Lands, and it didn't at first or something. So then they start to transition it.
Isn't it was they saying that they had like somebody had the rights for that specific Tooth
Oh,
and Claw
that
name?
could be. Maybe I missed
And
that part. Yeah, that could be.
and maybe it was something like like a board game, something like that. And then they had really and they probably stepped on somebody's, like somebody, and not always you notice it, but especially kind of the world he created. Maybe it's too much similarities. I'm just guessing, but I think something like that I heard when they were coming, they would change all the names. But yeah, it's as I say, I really like of course there's magical elements to it, but with animals in that kind of world, and especially the dog. I forgot the name of this specific dog species. I mean,
I can't remember either. Yeah.
yeah, but
Oh,
yeah.
look at this AFPC. Hello.
Hello. So yeah, it's really good. I'm glad. I mean, yeah, occasional F bombs, but you can't get away from that. Even like, it's gonna be there everywhere around her. But if she is already noticing that and doesn't take any account to it, I don't think it's too horribly bad. Especially it doesn't really have it has the moment. I think we shelter a lot of our kids from things. We think we do, but they see it everywhere else. I mean, no matter what you can do about it. So oh, hello, Andrew Lopez.
Hello, Andrew Lopez.
Yeah, there you go. So I heard something like that
Threatened
saying
lawsuits. Okay.
that's why. So it's kind of bad, like you come out with the series. It was extremely popular first issue. I remember everybody just couldn't stop talking about it because it was a great issue. You know what I mean? It came out. It has so much of potential and was going strong, and then suddenly the title changed, and everybody like, what the hell happens? Well, that awkward part. We're talking. We're talking autumn, yeah. We're talking Autumn Land, Tooth and Claw. The series Colby Cracker is reading with his daughter. Okay, and do you remember last week when we were chatting together, I said I will pick up. I pick up this from library. They
Sweet.
have all. I think it's 4 volumes long because that's what the library had. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna breeze through 4 volumes because it's like not really big volume each. Damn, there's lots of reading going on. So I kind of sort of I almost finished this issue, this volume, but I still have to tackle lovely covers. Volume 2. There's this volume 3 just to show to people, and I guess the last volume 4.
Hello, Rick Ray.
Oh yeah, hello. Look at Rick Ray. Cool. And yeah, so I was, and I now remembered where the first Jerome Pena, the Uncanny X-Force Rick Remender was working on. So he had Jerome Pena's art on it. I was like, surely that's why I was picking up the first. But it's an extreme involved story from the get-go. And it's kind of complicated, and I think that's what it started from the beginning. Is it has so much things going on with this magic world or world of Zal, which they are part of, and this family of what do they call them? Oh, now of course I'm not going to see something Osaka. I don't know, but they have this power, and they are on the kind of a retreating or trying to escape from this evil guy who apparently taking over the whole world and basically taking over their brains and basically doing whatever they want to do. And yes, I agree with you, Jackie. He's absolutely stunning artist.
He really is. Yeah.
Matt Hollingsworth is in colors and stuff. It's to be honest with you, I think this reading in this kind of format, smaller format and comic book format, Jerome Opinion's art, especially in this kind of volume they're trying to look at and the complexities of the panels, I want it to be much bigger, like especially scenes like that. You see all that conjuring of the abilities they have. And it needs to, because it has lots of complex lines in the animals, and sometimes it gets lost in the panels. But this is Piper, the guy who just whistles away, and these creatures comes out to basically kill anyone he basically comes to command to. And they did kill, and straight away in the first issue you have the father who didn't bend the knee to the bad guy. got murderized properly in there. So he already goes with the scene where, like kind of the iconic scene where he holds his dad's hand when, he stops breathing because he was buried underground. And then he decides to go and, like go against the dad's wish, maybe the son of him. And then he decides to go in and just see, basically go kill the bad guy, or just do something with, like, see what is all, like kind of like, because they have this whispers, and then those whispers which basically takes over them and completely gets over kind of their personalities and stuff. And he has this family, and the dad was trying to protect them, and because he disagreed with the bad guy, they became kind of like shunned away from everywhere. And they have this mysterious cough, or one first son who died without them getting aid. And this Adam, who is the main character at the moment in this volume, who is basically has the same illness and about to die. So he doesn't have anything to get to lose, but he still cares about his responsibilities in a way, and he's just going there by himself. And you just like have this conversation while he's traveling to the bad guy, saying, "Well, I don't know I need to do something, make a difference, but will I hear the whisper, or will I save how will I save my family?" And it's extremely intense storyline. I didn't expect it to be as complicated as it came to be, because there's lots of characters in it. And then there are lots of like fantasy. I don't know how about you, the fantasy like of storylines. If there's lots of characters, I sometimes get lost and to understand.
Totally.
Yeah, and I would absolutely love. I really like the background stories, especially with his relationship and how kind of everything got established. That's how what Rick Remender does really well. He doesn't let you just guess in a way, but he tells you snippets of information while you're going to the destination, which is kind of entices you go forward, because you kind of he unravels the character really well while you continue going on the path he's basically trying to tell you. So yeah, it's really beautifully done, and the art is definitely helps. And I think with having this kind of art on an oversized hardcover, I bet it would be stupendous to look at. But
Ray is talking about a massive edition of 7 to Eternity that came out last year. So I don't know if he means that it was some oversized or.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully. But yeah, it would be great to see that. This new collected edition. I have one of this black and white paperback issues. Okay. So yeah, it would be, as I say, it's neat. It's kind of sad to have this in this kind of format, to be honest. I think because of the, as I say, the amount of detail Jerome Pena is putting on every page, and all these complex creatures. And look at it, you can see this expanded example how you gutter losses kills the art like that. You just need that kind of like okay. Oh, okay. So that's it's the same size of the Agent, so that's great size, yeah, to be honest.
Those are good sizes for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I know that it was hardcover releases and stuff like that, but I'm just stating the people who's basically buying just the floppies. It's kind of would be you want to experience this art in a different format for sure, because it's lends to it, like it's the amount of grandeur the story is trying to portray. And the art is giving it to you. You wanted to see most of the details in the action scenes, and sometimes it's really difficult to see it. I really like all the evil parts, and just the group of the same left ability people who basically, in a way, comes in aid to our main Adam character. That's kind of becomes a bit more complicated to me. So maybe it will probably be disclosed in other volumes, which I'm looking forward to read. But as I say, I was thinking, I usually this kind of size of the trades, I go breeze through them so easily. But I guess because I'm reading a Rick Remender story, and because I seem to because it's such a complex storyline, it seems so far for me. I want to understand all the family dynamics. I want to know how, if Adam is going to survive or not, because he seems to be, he has like a type of a leukemia type of like illness where he's coughing his blood out all the time and he can't breathe. And it's funny, I'll talk about something else. A story which I read is kind of similar fashion where somebody's coughing. Anyway, sorry, it just popped in my head. I had to, but I'm looking forward to basically what I'm trying to say. Looking forward to the rest of it, and I'm definitely gonna hopefully read them through, and then when next time we chat, I can fully tell you exactly what I felt about the storyline and how everything gone.
AFPC is talking about, should you expect to be dazzled or annoyed? I think a big part of it is if you like fantasy and if you like Remender, I suppose. I mean, if you just dislike Remender, I would probably stay away. Hello, Ragamuffin. Holy shit. Look at this.
Look at everybody's popping out.
Blast from the past, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. So it will be, as I say, opinion. Yeah, our opinions art I like a lot. I think it was what drew me into it first, because of, as I say, Uncanny X-Force, he was in there as well, and he has exactly the same style of doing the same art style. So, anyway, so one of the recommended stuff which I don't fully committed to it, and I want to, as I like the writing of the recommender, kind of curiously know why I dropped it. So I wanted to get back to it and see how I feel about this, the full story, let's say this way. Because I agree, some fantasy stuff of recommenders can be a very nice thing, sometimes not so much. I don't know, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have enough experience with like all of his work, you know what I mean? So, I mean, Fear Agent is the classic one for me. I got that when it was coming off the shelf and it was unbelievable. And then other bits and pieces I've read of him here and there, but I haven't even read everything. You know, that was a book that I started and I never finished. Low was one that I started and I never finished, you know, so feels like there was a few of those where I got into it a little bit, but not. Although Deadly Class, I read some of it and never finished, you know, so it happens, I think, with some writers.
I like Deadly Class.
Yeah. I really need to read it for sure. Yeah.
I think Earl Grey liked it as well, but there's also you know, there is I think it doesn't lend to it to that, because the way they were describing in the beginning, it's kind of Harry Potter-esque storyline, which is kind of completely gives you opinion straight away before you even start reading the comic book, and I think that didn't lend it to it at all. But if you know, yeah, and I agree with Rick Ray saying that the Righteous First Avengers was fantastic, and this is coming out with a collected edition.
Yeah, it was good.
So people who hasn't caught it in their singles, you can collect it editions, and then but it's going to be hardcover as well. Okay.
We're still going strong, Ragamuffin. It's really good to see you in the chat. It feels like it's been a long time. If you go back in our catalog, there's lots of dick jokes for you going back a bunch of episodes, so you'll have to catch up.
Okay, so it's your turn now. Yes?
No, there wasn't. No. So I took a break off of TMNT this week, but I decided to dig into, because I keep seeing these ads in the Turtle stuff that I'm reading for Melting Pot that was supposed to come out, you know, 86, I think, is when it was supposed to come out. I thought I had the whole series. Turns out I don't. I'm missing one of the issues. It was a 4-issue mini put out eventually by Kitchen Sink. Kevin Eastman, Talbot, and then Bisley. 1993 is when this came out. So the first issue starts, he kind of gives a little bit of a background on the story that, you know, they were talking about doing it for the longest time, and there was always something that happened. So let's do the credits properly here. So Kevin Eastman does story, layouts, and pencils. Eric Talbot does additional story and character development and some pencils. And then Simon Bisley does paints over the whole damn thing. It's a pretty gorgeous looking book. It picks up in issue number 2. This first issue, I find that as we go on, like, there's all this great color happening, but it starts to get really dark and muddy towards the end, where you can't really make out what the heck is going on. But I mean, there's a pretty damn strong start to this series for sure. And then
Mhm.
thankfully in issue number 2, it feels like it picks up again, where maybe they realized, oh shit, that didn't kind of translate the way that it was supposed to. So they made some changes. Yeah, we start to see kind of some of the darkness creeping in here, and it just
Yeah.
gets darker from there. Where I understand you're going for a mood, I get it, but it was just too kind of muddy. I mean, you can make out what's going on there, but there's a couple of pages where I was really having difficulty seeing what was happening and who. They start introducing a bunch of other characters too, so then it becomes extra difficult to see who it is you're following. So the kind of interesting thing about this first issue was we kind of open, and then you get stuff like this too.
Oh, good.
You kind of open on this main female character who
Mhm.
crashes, and then you realize at a couple pages in, you're not actually following her. She's not the main character. She gets killed. So then you get to meet these other 2 dudes who you think are going to be the main characters, and you follow them through the story for a bit, and then they get dispatched.
Uh-huh.
So it's interesting. It's a really interesting book the way that's done. I don't know if there's anything kind of groundbreaking story wise at this point. It feels like we've met this warlord character who the second issue is kind of just a battle from beginning to end, and this one, because at the end of the first one I was kind of like, that's okay, I don't know, maybe I won't read it right away, but when I came back to this that night, the second one kind of sucked me back into the story again,
Mhm.
where I need to find issue number 3 so I can finish it. This is an amazing issue. So I think as a truck goes by, I think one of the things, like, Eastman has his talents in a really big way, and I think a big part of his talents are storytelling as well, and kind of a flow and layouts of panels and things. I really enjoy this book. This art is really gorgeous. I think Bisley does a really nice job on painting this book, considering he's dealing with a couple of different styles, even though they're both kind of based, they both come from kind of the same thing, potentially, like both of them working on Turtles books and stuff. But this is super fun. So I don't know where the hell I'm going to find number 3, but I got to put the call out to there to the Winnipeg comic crew and see if anybody's got one for sale. So really good, really cool.
Cool.
That's all I got to say about it, really. And then I'll just show you the cover for issue 4.
Wait.
So that's the final issue there. So and it's a bit thicker. This one is almost like a double-sized issue, but just amazing stuff. Yeah, cool.
I was just saying about your comic book then?
Having disdain for your readers by making your comics as illegible as possible is definitely the way to go, right? Yeah, so that was it for that.
Okay, cool. He's asking about
stapled. Yeah, they're all stapled.
Okay, and then he asked.
I don't know. I think there was like some collection that maybe came out of them as well too. So, but I'm not 100% positive.
Okay. And recommended stuff, you can go Fair Agent first. I think it's one of the best space tales you'll read ever. And then they're coming out with reprinted collected editions. I don't know if it's going to be hardcovers. I presume maybe, but they're saying that they're reprinting it and they're going to put that in because they've been out of stock forever because it was produced by Dark Horse. So yeah, I highly recommend this. And if you like Marvel architectural foam panels, then you can go for Uncanny X-Force of recommenders, and that's superb. And I know there's lots of Deadpool in there, but it's really well dealt with Deadpool in that series. And
enjoyed his Captain America run, and I liked his Franken-Castle run as well too, with Frank Castle turning into Frankenstein. Yeah. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. So I actually haven't read that story. I heard lots of good things about it.
I enjoyed it. It's pretty silly, but I thought it was fun. And yeah, Damien, it's 4 issues to that melting pot.
Also, Deadly Class. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it has lots of highs and lows, and I'm wondering how we'd go with collected editions because it's 42 issues. It's quite a long series, so it would be probably maybe 4 volumes as well. I presume, maybe even more. Depends how many pages they pick, but yeah, it's a really good story. I don't know, just like it. My next stuff will be
I think he did, Jack. Yo, it's funny you say that because I think you're right about that, and I think that was really good too. I read a bunch of Secret Avengers, believe it or not, and it was mostly because of the art. But I'm thinking that you're right because that would have been the other draw for me to get into it. I remember really liking it as well, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, he's done lots of stuff. He did the Captain America run. Apparently, it's great for Marvel stuff. And as I say, you know, I really enjoyed it. I think that collected editions because it has a tale of the Apocalypse being a child and they're going to basically murderize us in the X-Force, and their main task is to kill. And then they changed mind because Psylocke and what is the wing guy? Oh my god, my X-Men people are Archangel.
Angel?
Yeah, Archangel, the evil one. So they basically have this love thing happening, and he's turning evil in a way because his past as being an Archangel turned from angel to Archangel. Anyway. Yeah, and it's the artist is great in that one, by the way. Yeah, Archangel is great, so why not go Archangel? You're gonna be like going all crazy again because I'm talking X-Men again, so I'll stop. Instead, I'm going to talk about this Doom. So I'm going to tackle Doom Patrol.
Oh, hey, that's cool.
Of a Grant Morrison's era. There's this chunk-normous, I call it, not omnibus, but chunk-normous omnibus of Doom Patrol collected whole issues of Grant Morrison, and looks as beefy as you can think of. You basically can't lift it. You have to have a forklift to do that, to forklift it on top of your table, and then hopefully your table won't crash when you open the page. Anyway, I'm just joking. And yeah, it's the thing I wanted always to talk about, like to read. I like Doom Patrol. I like the wackiness. I just realized my copy has like really tattered. But it's what I remember how
anymore.
No, it never has been near me. I bought it like that, so somebody didn't feel like it should be. But it's entertaining read. So Grant Morrison started with Richard Case. So what else Richard Case doing? Because he's the person I've never heard of, and it seems to be he was the main artist for the whole bloody series. A part of people coming, even like Sean Phillips is going to be in this one. Did you know that? In the series as an artist, so that was a surprise. But anyway, so it's one of the things it's all on my reading list, and I thought I started to once again sometimes tackle my organization. So I somehow came across it, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to read it. So I started reading, and I wasn't reading from the beginning. So Calling from Wreckage is the 3 of 4. And I don't have 1 and 2 because it seems to be I thought I had collected them all, but I remember why, because the first 2 of Grant Morrison's runs issues are difficult to get hold of, and I never wanted to kind of invest more money into it. I always looked at the cheapest bins I possibly can. So it seems to be I never have had, and I thought I did it, but you know how that works. But it's an extremely entertaining read, and you have Cliff Steele, and you have Crazy Jane going absolutely to deal with this entity who's trying to. It's an artificial intelligence who is basically seeping into the real world and abducting people. And Cliff and Crazy Jane has to basically kind of trying to deal with it. They're not really a Doom Patrol yet. They're not a team as what you would say. Yeah, Case is throughout the run. I'm not sure we'll see him anywhere else. Oh wow! So you just maybe got invited. Anyway, I haven't done real research. The part with Crazy Jane, very interesting. Even Cliff, who's made of steel, petrified of Crazy Jane because of multiple personalities in her, and this is one of the personalities shown through, and he's like, oh my god, I almost say, well, what the fuck is this? And she's basically
we just need to go on. So go on. No, go ahead.
So she basically.
I was just going to say we need to stop and talk and just acknowledge the Bullet Boys there just for 1 second. That's all on that page. I was going to make a silly joke and I totally derailed the whole conversation.
Yeah, thanks for
I
that.
apologize.
Yeah,
Carry on, please. Just ignore me.
I honestly looked at this Bullet Boys. Oh yeah, it's like, what is this Bullet Boy? But yeah, the 90s, beautiful. What is the band, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. I had the album.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. Anyway, so Crazy Jane is completely takes one of the personalities takes over, and Cliff is absolutely like, you can see petrified. And he's like, I can't believe what she's been doing to it. But she basically tears him apart to shreds, and it's one of those artificial beings who scissor hands, kind of like people, the bad people from that. And it's just the beginning of like a story for the beginning of Doom Patrol. By the way, Damien, I did been looking around, but it would be a good way probably to do that as well, just to get hold of those issues I'm missing. I'm missing like 3 issues of or 4 issues of the whole runs, which is not too bad. I mean, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Even reading like from 3 to 4, I wasn't so badly kind of I didn't understand the story. It wasn't like groundbreaking beginning story. One thing what gave me a bit of a fun is saying you see this mountain, and they say, "Oh, we're right. What is this? It looks a bit modest." And he's like, "The it belonged to Justice League of America." Cliff saying it's a bit modest, and it's like, "Oh, we're just borrowing from Justice League of America," which was hilarious to me. It's like how Cliff is. And apparently, just League of America has basically completely abandoned it. And the whole story of this, the point they found this guy who's basically created for fun this artificial intelligence, and is basically because of this playing around, that entity was trying to take over the whole world, and they still managed to solve it because the crazy Doom Patrol and stuff like that, which I really liked, and it's becoming extremely entertaining. But I think one of more entertaining stories was about Butterfly Collector, and he is a kind of imagination of Grant Morrison thinking how to rip Jack the Ripper into a story of Doom Patrol, because he's this weird guy who collects butterflies, and those butterflies gives him a power, kind of like he rejuvenates him to the point, and his collection is all steeping through. And this is absolutely amazing page, by the way, 2 pages. It just screams at you, wow, God, how long did you spend time for doing this? Because it looks a lot of stuff. And don't forget, the inker is called Hannah, so he had lots of work to do in this one. But I really liked so far the Doom Patrol, because you have these obscure characters like this girl who's coming into not much of shown yet in the full limelight. But anyway, so it's a lot of fun, honestly, and I think if Cliff's continued dressing up with that kind of Judge Dredd slash I don't know, whatever costume, it looks amazing. And then they 2 of them talking together, it's already really well established. And look at this one thing page. Keep the planet clean and green. Somebody was dressed up in this. This is part photo cover. Anyway, so yeah, so it's entertaining, very good. Finally, I'm looking forward where else the craziness or wackiness I'm going to read from Grant Morrison. But so far, this Doom Patrol is hilarious, and I also always thinking that I'm going to get hold of that whole collected edition. But then I went to the bookstore and actually seen the sheer size of it. I was like, it's impossible to handle it. So there's no really point for me to getting it. So, but then, as I say, I was already starting to collect it in single format, and it's one of the things I always wanted to have because it's obscure Grant Morrison, and why not?
Read a bunch of the graphic novels way back when Travis was still doing videos, doing the round table. Mm-hmm. I never finished it though, but I was enjoying it as it was going though. I read, I don't know how many of the trades, a good chunk of them, though, most of them. And mm-hmm. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, and then the next cover, which I was reading as well, was just funny. It's really cool. And it's absolutely entertaining, and it's easy to read. I was thinking how it will be overcomplicated, like Grant Morrison stuff, but that maybe it's just the beginning of this DC. I think this is what it's basically one of the beginning stuff that DC was working on. So maybe it was still a bit tame in the beginning. Apparently it goes a bit whacking crazy more further into the run of this. So The lots of great artists comes in as a, like stand in for a week or two, I guess. So
Right.
it's really nice.
I haven't read Invisibles. AFPC was talking about it here.
Mhm.
I feel like with AFPC's love of like art and things, he would probably really dig Doom Patrol because they talk about, they go into kind of they going into they go into a whole bunch of kind of artists that kind of make appearances. I can't remember what the name of that group is, the Dadaist kind of group. So, but Invisibles, I've always heard positive things about too. Have you read Invisibles?
No, I only kind of dabbled into it because I was my whole point was when I started Grant Morrison stuff, I was collecting it like as much as I possibly can. I have like chunks of Invincibles. I've never collected the whole stuff in single format. And I was like, as I say, I wanted to have it in that time. I was keen to just start from the beginning, go forward, because it already has been finished to run. So yeah. But yeah, it's so far as it's extremely entertaining, and I'm surprised how tame it is comparing to what Grant Morrison can come up with.
Right.
So,
Yeah. The show is surprisingly good too. We watched the first 2 seasons of it. Surprisingly entertaining, because they do keep in some of the weirdness, so it's they do a pretty good job. We haven't got to the 3rd season.
yeah, and the voice, I can't. I have to have the voice now because of the TV show. What's his actor's name? Oh my god, what's his name? Anyway,
I don't remember. He was the guy that played Judge Dredd in one of the movies, though, wasn't he?
No,
The guy who's in The Boys.
No, it's that guy from the Jungle Man. And he was very famous.
Oh,
Frasier.
That's in Doom Patrol. Oh, yeah.
That's
Brendan
the one.
Fraser.
There you go. That's the guy, Brendan Fraser. So he is the one, and I can't. I was the minute I have him speaking in the comic book, I have his voice now. It's like, I don't know, maybe just because of TV shows I watched. So, but it's really good. I like the voice. It really lends well, and the way he like moans about it, and you can just really, really well portrays how it is portrayed by Grant Morrison as well. Yeah. It's another thing is Animal Man. So I always wanted to. I read actually the first volume of Animal Man, and I it wasn't clicking with me. But apparently, I was supposed to go forward with it further because the Animal Run is quite good. Oh yeah, especially volume 2 by Phil Jimenez. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I know. It's all about magic. he likes doing magic stuff. Anyway, okay. So what next do you have?
I read the final story in this Daniel Torres, Rocco Vargas hardcover that I picked up the other weekend. Dark Horse. I have the first 3 books in kind of the graphic album format, and I could never find the 4th one. So it was great to find this to finally get the last thing. This one also does a bunch of supplemental material too. So there's a little intro from Daniel Torres as well. And he sort of sets up the next section, which is the character Rocco Vargas of the book, giving us a history of the time that they're in and talking about the interplanetary battles that are going on with illustrations by Daniel Torres. So he does a pretty good job of blurring that line between like his character and the reality and him being the person writing it all, but still being credited. So it's really good. It gives you just kind of an overview of the wars that were happening between the planets. And then you also get some gorgeous illustrations. So the 3 individual issues, it's a book where I feel like at this point I need to go back and read the whole thing. You also get some sketches, character designs and things too at the beginning of each chapter. I need to read the whole thing to see how it all relates, because this the third story, let me just flip to it. Let's see here. It's called the third story is called The Distant Star. And this one, Rocco Vargas is kind of talking about his past. He tells a story of his past, of how he came to meet some of the other characters in the story and how they became this kind of crew of battling. I don't even know, like inventors, they're inventing a new ship using some different fuel. So the idea is that a base wants to be set up on Pluto, and that's going to be kind of the eyes. You know, they call it. He cites it as the watchtower to the rest of the galaxies, the lighthouse rather to the rest of the galaxies. So
Yeah.
what they also want to do is they want to start further space exploration from Pluto, but they need a different fuel source to kind of get them through space. So these guys have invented it, and it kind of reads at parts. It reads a lot like Madman. Like it feels like it's a similar kind of group. And once I kind of had that thought in my head, there was some sections that even the art style reminded me of some Madman stuff. But Daniel Torres is a gorgeous artist. I'd love to find some more of his stuff. I just really love the kind of it's this mix of kind of vintage comic strip art, but there's also this sort of look to some of the panels, especially later on. Well, even stuff like this that almost feels kind of like propaganda poster style. You know, he's good at kind of doing these frames of feels like they could almost be like covers or something, or you know, you really he encapsulates that good moment of a bigger story where you think of like the Tintin books and that sort of thing, where each of these panels is its own album and its own separate adventure. But his character design and even his backgrounds and buildings are really, really cool. These are I think they're from Neptune, this group of people here. And there's kind of a battle. So it just talks about this fight between a couple of different planets who want to get their hands on their, yes, Torres in heavy metal, 100%, want to get their hands on the formula for this fuel, and they want to build the ships themselves, the spaceships themselves. So basically they want to steal the technology for themselves. It's great. It was a lot of fun. It felt like it was a really nice way to end the series as well, too. I don't think he ever did any more with Rocco Vargas after this. I think that was it. But he did a boatload of other comic art. Just looking to see if there's any other good-looking pages I can show you here. But everything is great. And the other volumes, like I said, I feel like I've got to read the whole thing again to get a better impression of how this sort of ties in or buttons up the trilogy or the four-parter, because I feel like I liked the first three a lot more than this. Stuff like this too is what I'm talking about. Panels like these here. I mean, here in Winnipeg, 1919 general strike, they turned over a streetcar and it's almost identical to that image. We've got a statue that they did downtown, or a sculpture they did downtown to commemorate the event there, but it's so similar to this. Like, I wonder if he was looking at kind of historical photos for protests and that sort of thing, and injecting them into the story here. So, and then you get beautiful, almost Charles Burney type panels like that middle one there. Just really incredible stuff. Really, really worth your time. If you can find anything by Torres, I'd say give it a shot. But like Damien was saying, I'm sure there's a resource online where you can look at which heavy metal issues he appeared in. So,
okay. So that's where you heard him from. That's how you knew about him, from heavy metal first.
I don't think so. I think it was one of those things of just buying Catalan Communications and all these European English publishers, just grabbing one and being drawn to the art and buying it because it was from that company. No other reason, and then getting into it through that way. I'll have to look through my heavy metal issues to see if there's other stuff printed in there. I don't know if this serialized in there or not, or if some of his other work appeared in heavy metal.
Okay, cool. The art looks great in that one for sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
To look at, and it's another artist I wouldn't mind discovering again if I find some stuff for it. I don't know, maybe library would have, but I did look when you were talking last week, and they didn't have anything, and sometimes it's kind of disappointing. But I can't think that they have all the sources or whatever I find.
I mean, this one you might have a better chance, since this collection came out from Dark Horse. You know what I mean? It feels like there might be a little bit better of a chance to find it in the library.
Yeah, but as I say, I did research already in the library, and I clearly didn't see it, so I guess I have to invest my own money to do that, which is maybe I will do, but my brain is gonna scatter somewhere else, and something else shiny gonna appear, and I was like, oh my god, it's so shiny. Anyway, I'm going crazy. But so this is my last book. I told you I haven't read much, but this has taken over whatever I've read for this week, because the story, and I read it because For the Love of Comics has talked about it. But before I said so, he's asking if Stories is currently in print.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll have a look at the year on this one, but I'm pretty sure this might be one of those out of print deals.
Shoot. Anyway, so the book I'm talking about is this: Amy DeYoung, Days of Sand. So this book,
amazing. I've seen this around. I've always wanted to check it out.
Well, you have to, because this is like really well done. Anyway, so my library seems to be self-made hero books they're in love with, and it seems to be most likely, if somebody will recommend self-made hero production, I probably would have it, and they always buy them in hardcovers as well. So Amy DeYoung is the artist from Netherlands. And she seems to be doing things like do researches and gets the facts going, and then puts it in a comic kind of format. Lord of Lies is the next work she's doing. Is that screaming something? Because I've heard this word, this name, the name. I'm not really a reader of the books, but she's doing Lord of Flies into comic format, and she's going to come out with that book in 2024 apparently. But anyway, talking about Days of Sand. So in 1937, in America, the Great Depression happened. But not only that, what the Great Depression has took toll. Also, they had this Dust Bowl phenomenon happening near Oklahoma. And this creature, or a man of 22 years old, photographer, has been asked, or he's basically got a job, and they asked him to go in Oklahoma, or that town near Oklahoma, where the Dust Bowls phenomenon happened, and took the pictures to basically put it through in that format, so people understand the hardships, what happened in there, and basically kind of picture it in a better way. So and I'm looking at the back of the book to say Farm Security Administration is who employed him, and apparently it's factual. Not like saying that this person who is being employed and went in there in factual reasons, but that's what usually Farm Security Administration was doing, employing photographers, doing the stuff like that. And she also uses a real-time pictures in this book as well. So the people who were living in that time, 1937, one of the pictures is taken. And it's really fascinating, because apparently this Dust Bowl happened due to or speculation, I don't know if it's fact, but because of the inappropriate ways of doing farming. And it's created this Dust Bowl, which was settling in the area where people were fleeing it, because people were starting to get illnesses from it, from the amount of dust that's gathering around the houses, and impossible to do any sort of farming or creating anything livable. And the one destination most people were choosing to go into was California. So apparently in that time and era, they were really wanting to have, because of apparently the California was, because it was belonging to Mexico, and when America took over, Mexicans has been pushed away from it, and nobody had people enough staff to basically to go around, and they were asking for people to come around. But anyway, the art is really good. The way it starts is him digging the hole, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, is it suicidal from the beginning?" But no, it's just a scene set for this guy, and saying himself in this couple images, saying, "Did I do a good right choice by going here?" And so we said straight away go into New York. That's where he was living part. and he was running into this office to get the job. It's really well told. It's really well drawn. I really like the panels. It's extremely, at the beginning it seems extremely tame. So the kid, 22 years old, kind of looks like he's not really has enough experience of being a photographer, but seeing his pictures, this man in charge decided to employ him straight away. He had to drive to that area by himself. They told him that, expect the worst because the way they're going, and told him, like, there's a list for you to do, and in that list you have to basically, what do they want, you have to send them. So find the post office, send all these pictures, and that's how you're going to get paid. So he, because he wanted to do something different, he went, didn't expect anything, and from the get-go, his journey was really well. The famous scenes of the bridge, which, as a tourist who I've never been there, most of the pictures I've seen, the bridge is all the time there. The Great Depression, and how like people were going, even like businessmen didn't have enough food to be sparing for each other. We're going to the soup kitchens to get at least a cup of soup. And then really beautiful panel scenes with lots of really good kind of like picturesque panels. And when he ends up going in this place, he has this fancy camera to take the pictures. Seems to be everything feels normal. He hasn't really experienced it, all of it, until he sees families basically trying to flee the place. And he meets a lot of people, but the way he's trying to approach them, most of the people got scared of him as well. It's like, why, that he didn't understand how to deal, what people had to deal with in that time. He was just at the beginning of the story when he just wanted to try and do the job he was asked about. But then I guess being in there, experienced it, how tough and how many consequences for people's lives were there because of something, and how it wasn't easy for anyone, having kids, babies, people pregnant, coughing and stuff like that. And then he met a girl whose husband has died, who was extremely friendly to him, and he was able to kind of befriend her. But what happened with him and her family in that time situation has changed him completely. And I'm not going to spoil it. I guess I get spoiled a little bit when I showed the panel of this, but it's really lovely book to read. I honestly highly recommend anybody to go through it without spoilers, if you can, or forget about it. Like those spoilers, whatever we told you, because it's really heartfelt storyline, and it's crazy what was happening in that time as well. Like people had to go through, and this creator has done a stupendous job dealing with this storyline, and it's really well portrayed, I presume. I mean, like, if I felt upset, happy, sad in all throughout the storyline, and happy to what kind of how he grew to be who he was. We kind of got this background as well about his father, because his father is photographer as well, but unfortunately his dad was abusive, alcoholic, and to his own surprise, he took the same profession as his dad, even sharing the same name. So he was, and then he wasn't happy because he's not the same as his father, but still doing kind of similar stuff, like not like drinking and saying, but professional wise, like he's a photographer and taking pictures of other people. And he realized how taking people, he had, like they were saying in his book, when you take a picture, you kind of steal the moment. Or like the moment of, we take pictures to remember the moment. He's saying, as a stranger who comes in there and asks him to, partake in the picture, he feels that he's taking away something from the family, because the way he had to approach this kind of subject, and how he was dealing with this. Really well done book, amazing. One of the, like another self-made hero book you definitely should maybe get hold of to read and experience it, because it's honestly really well done. And as I say, there's lots of pictures, and there's an extra amount of information you can read about that, because it shows the pictures of that time. So it's lots of things you can still read and find out more. And yeah, it's there's like this picture of this woman alone with 7 kids trying to survive and go to California and basically find out, as I say, like the dream place where you're gonna escape from one and you're gonna live in a better place with a more job and all your kids gonna be fed and everything. And I heard, like we were saying in the back of the matter, but people who actually went from this place and traveled all the way to California, if they did reach California in that time, they end up homeless and on the street because there was no more jobs left because everybody was fleeing. Yeah, exactly. That migrant woman is the number one picture. Apparently, it's seen everywhere. So it's actually been referenced by lots of people. So, and this Farm Security Administration has paved the way for the photography standards. So it's very entertaining, and it's kind of like, as I say, sad story, but really well portrayed in this. And I'm really glad I managed to. I didn't, like when I picked up this book from library, I didn't realize that's where I heard it from. For a love of comic books. And then the minute I read it, I remember him talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, they all make sense. That's why I heard it. That's why I picked it up. Like subconsciously, it's in there. Like the recommendations are staying in there, and without realizing, you pick it up. I was like, oh yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to read, and I couldn't get hold of it from the library at the beginning. So yeah, very good.
At this point, how many self-made hero books do you think you've read? Because that seems to be a name that's come up quite a few times for you. Yeah.
Maybe 20.
And they've all been good from what I'm remembering. Like you've liked every single one, I think.
Yeah. And it's lots of genre differences. That's what I really like as well. It seems to be lots of people, like a lots of self-made heroes pave the way to people of all sorts of storylines, and doesn't matter, like kiddie stories, even like kids-friendly stories were one of my favorite ones as well, by self-made hero. So yeah, it's amazing. So and this book is published in like worldwide, and it's really well received. Knowing, as I say, it flows so smoothly throughout. You start to get to know the character easily. At the beginning, it kind of seems to be like young teenager, not sure what he's all about, but then suddenly, when you get to the spot where you're supposed to do the job and you start actually with your eyes seeing what's happening, and he got trapped in his car while this cloud of a sandstorm was surrounding him, and he covered himself with a like whatever blanket or whatever to his face because he couldn't breathe, and he wakes up and it seems like, I don't know what happened like to me, but I feel like I'm exhausted because there's nothing there for you to basically survive, and sees the dead horse around in one area. It's like, I don't know how to take the picture of this because they were telling him, make it better, like the way like these days we use Photoshop in order to improve the image. And this one, it says like, well, they put the way. And there's another picture of a dead cow, and apparently it's quite famous because one of the most famous photographer took it, but because he rendered it or he changed the cow's places from one to another just to make the image. And I'm talking about this image here. He got in trouble, and he got in trouble because of doing that. They started to double guess, where his pictures were taken, what they made look better or worse, or just to cover it up. So he got in trouble throughout the whole of his career. Yeah, I read those anthologies. I really like them as well, by the way. I keep on saying. Yeah, so self-made hero. Where are you from? I will tell you. Usually say.
I'm pretty sure they are British. I'm sure that you've said that before.
Yeah, that's why. Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I know actually where the road is in London. Sorry, I'm reminiscing the time in London just by looking at the postcode. Yeah, it is the English, but yeah, it's so well made, this, and it's been read up. The spine is very free. A lot of people, it's really, actually, the thing is, you have like 2 weeks to read the book in library. I know how it is in your part of the world, but we have 2 weeks to read the book, and we have to return, or you can schedule for another 2 weeks for you if you want to, if you don't have to read. I can't do this book because it's already somebody wants it straight away. So it's extremely popular in the library as well.
That's good. That's really good too. Yeah, I think it's a couple of weeks for us as well too.
Because I would remember I couldn't get hold of it because I clearly, what I always do now, when I see For the Love of Comics or you recommend it, I always go library first to see if they have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then because what I do is even I pre-order, so like not pre-order, but like register interest for this book. And if you do that, you have to pay a fee. But I don't really, it doesn't make importance to me as long as I able to go and read it. So this Abrams, probably not the comic book shop, more bookstore thing. I'll check the library. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, she's doing great. Her art style is really cool, and the thing is, I think what makes the big differences in comic artists lately, I find, they at all have been part of animation. They have like work for animators. They panel. They choose the way they panel the storytelling in the panels is so good. It's not confusing whatsoever. It's like really well thought of, like the way they plan the storyline, even those simplistic panel scenes, but it's so well told and so well represented, you know what I mean? Like this scene I told you when he was sleeping in the car and has to be covered his face. And then he sees this really well looked after horse and he thinks he's sleeping, or he's daydreaming, but he's actually meeting the girl I was talking about. So yeah, it's amazing scenes. So as you can see, the panel, like they meet, they greet, and they look at each other. Love it. Anyway, so one of the good self-made hero books.
Yeah. Should I ask if you did a drawing from it or?
Oh no, I haven't. I have done that the last week we were speaking about comic books. I've done those, like So Jeff Lemire,
from Fish Flies there. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then Star Trek: The Days of Blood.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like the way he crossed his face with the things. And Rick Remender's new book, The Max Briamus Sacrifice.
Oh man, that's nice too. Yeah, very nice.
So yeah, so I do after. I just sometimes it's I don't want I was kind of rushing to do that kind of thing, to draw what I've read, and then I was like, well, I'm pressuring myself too much again. So I will stop doing this. I'm not trying to do that. So I'm trying to, when I have time, I go sit down and draw, and it takes away my time so quickly, and my brain just escapes, which is exactly why I like drawing. When I get to the point, I really wish I had, to be honest, I really wish I had studio, or just go in there, and that's it. I don't have any distractions around me. I just do whatever, like scribble.
That's pretty good, man.
Mm.
So I've only got one more as well.
Yeah.
So this is my last one, and I don't know how much I have to say about it, other than it was some really comfortable reading for me.
Okay.
There's a few things that kind of bring me back to when I was reading indie comics in the 90s and stuff. So this is a Joe Matt cover. This is drawn in quarterly. I found this yesterday, found 3 issues yesterday. This was so much fun to kind of read through after all of this time. It just really brought me back to the time of reading these all the time, and reading them not only all the time, but like repeatedly, reading each issue multiple times. So good. This was a blast. So January 1991. And right away, like artists like this Wayno, who I've never seen anywhere else other than in probably this anthology, just immediately recognizable style. Funny little story. They're mostly short kind of gag strips for the most part. Richard Sala here doing some color work, which is beautiful.
I agree with that again, by the way.
Yeah, really nice.
You can't. It's such a design where you can't just look at it. It's just you can't just don't even look at the faces. Just look at those choppers.
Yeah, and then so one of the things that I
Oh my
love
goodness.
about these. Here's Joe Matt, his normal style. So this is the same guy that did the cover here.
Oof.
Um,
How the hell?
man, these were the books, these were the strips rather that I remember, and this is what got me into Joe Matt. I love these. I've read all of these. I have a
Hmm.
collection. What is it called? Peep Show, I think is what it's called, where I think it collects all of the strips from
Hmm.
this Drawn and Quarterly. But this is the Joe Matt that I remember, and I love these. And
Hmm.
he really gets dense with some of it here. I thought there was one. No, maybe it's in another issue. There's one in another issue where the panels are so incredibly small on the page. Uh, each row might have like 10 panels, so but he's just a great storyteller. Oh, I seem to be chopping up there. He's a great storyteller. They're
Hmm.
always really funny. Um, hello, Paulo.
Hello.
There's even a Colin Upton story in here. I just found Colin Upton's Other Big Thing. I think is the magazine that I found.
Hmm.
Um, who else makes an appearance in here? Oh, the one and only Julie Doucet has a couple of strips in here, and Julie Doucet's stuff is so good. Um, just really simple little story here as they're coming stumbling home from the bar and end up passing out in front of some snowplows, or collapsing rather in front of some
Hmm.
snowplows. Fulbert Sturgeon in here as well too, kind of an infamous underground comics guy. So it was just a blast to read through these again. Sort of
Hmm.
just trying to pull out the big ones. Here's the other Julie Doucet. Her style is so great. Doucet, Doucet. And then Dirty Plot. Here's an ad for her comic. That was her book, which is highly recommended if you can find it online. Or I don't know if there's. I'm assuming it was collected as well too. So
Hmm.
well worth your time, I think. And that's kind of it. But like I said, just super fun to read through this again. Just really reminds me of reading those things over and over again because I didn't find them all the time. So when I did, it ended up traveling with me to school, traveling back and forth with me. And as I would kind of flip through it over and over again. So, and
Oh
Drawn a
yeah.
Quarterly out of Montreal.
So you said you read it. So you read it in different format, but not in this the original format?
This is, yeah, correct. So
Uh,
like the Joe Matt stuff, I think it was called Peepland or Peep Show. I don't remember which one that collected. It came later and collected all the strips from Drawn and Quarterly.
is it
But
called
this
like?
is Peep Show. Yeah, there you go. The Cartoon Diary of Joe Matt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good one to grab if you can
Mhm.
find that. I know they
Okay.
printed a boatload of them because I've seen them. I've seen them out a number of times. I've seen them out there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Paul Costa is doing Indy 500. The coverage, isn't it? Is he? Am I correct? I don't know. Anyway, racing. Not sure if I am up to that kind of stuff. Not really my bucket list to call.
AFPC is saying the Dirty Plot collection is real tough on the wrist, so it must be real beefy then. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so this is what we did, but I wanted to show you people something. So I found this. I don't know. I think it's Twitter somewhere. This thing called is Kickstarter based comic book. I don't know how you. I don't know. I've never done this kind of stuff. I don't know how does that work, but it's called Slightly Exaggerated. And I found this website. He's called curtiscloud.com, and he's a creator. And I read it gives you like about like 6 pages or 8 pages of this stuff, and I read it, and I was like, "Geez, that's really good." You can't really see it because I need to just basically zoom it on the website. But this is the art style you can basically have, and it's so entertaining. It's about whatever I've read is about this. How is it? Treasure hunters, not treasure hunters, no, the Indiana Jones type of character, who is basically going after some religious element and gets in trouble but I just the way I think, and apparently it's extremely impressive, and lots of people loves it so much that I think somebody will probably come in printed format, because that's how I guess how they game. But what I really like about it, you see who she's riding in the sky. So it's a fantasy kind of type of world. But I just wanted to mention this, even though I just read like a couple of panels. It seems to be extremely entertaining. So maybe if you guys have heard of it, you can tell me more about it. And but yeah, so this is the cold, slightly exaggerated. This is the comic book very cool. It looks fantastic. But yeah, it's
It
based on
does. How did you find out about that?
Twitter. I think it's Twitter. Like you
Okay.
press something, really like the art. Well, that's how I get into it. I see the art, I really enjoy it, and when I see manta rays, something, I don't know, maybe it draws my imagination. I really like the creature in generally. So yeah, it's self-published, but it's Kickstarter. So he come out with something, and people were, I guess, what do you call them? Giving the money to him, and he creates a comic book, and they continue. Apparently, there's 3 issues of it as well. But yeah, it looks like I would like to see it in the comic format, like in physical format rather than in digital, the way it is. But I wonder, I guess nobody has else read it in our chat to know that. So
That's cool. A Man's Skin was really good. That's very cool, Paulo. Are you going to get to speak to them? I know in the past, I think you've interviewed some of them, haven't you?
Anyway, so I don't have anything else to say. Just that new comic, new stuff.
Unfortunately, no. I mean, I started reading this today.
Uh-huh.
I'm not finished it though. I'm only a few strips into it. It's great. Skip Williamson is really great. He's got a way with language in this stuff too. Lots of good satire in here. What I didn't realize was that he got his start in Harvey Kurtzman's Help magazine, which I wasn't aware of. And then his big one that people will know from Undergrounds is he was kind of one of the, was it 3 of them that kind of put together Bijou Funnies, and he's done some covers on Bijou Funnies. It's kind of a classic Underground, but this is really entertaining so far. It really was nice to read it on a Sunday because it had that kind of Sunday comic strip vibe to it, with kind of just shorter stories, 1-pagers, 2-pagers, that were just kind of real comical, and a good variety of stuff, from kind of just political satire type of things to then just silly drug humor, really, really entertaining so far.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what we have for this week.
Yeah.
Nice and short, as I say. We're not going to bore you too long.
Yeah.
I haven't read it as much. So, before. So, you know that Usagi Yojimbo and Teenage Mutant
Yes.
that book.
Yeah, I grabbed number 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So the truck who's delivering comic books to a comic book shop
Heard about this. Yeah.
went up in flames in here. So now some of the Marvel and some of the IW comic books went up in flames, and my comic book guy doesn't know what's going to happen when they receive it. And apparently, that book it wasn't that truck. So I was like, oh my god, what is this luck? So I don't know whatever happened, but yeah, apparently it went up flames, and it's like completely damaged. Like there's no recovery whatsoever. So how much paper there was in that truck.
That's crazy. I didn't hear that it gone up in flames. I'd heard that there was an accident, but I didn't look into it any further.
Apparently, my comic book guy said the damage was that much that you can't really even think about selling anything of that.
Yeah, so it's all ashes at that point, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I think something like really like bad happened to it, and it's, I don't know what, water or something else. So some great damage to the comic books and stuff. Yeah, I should call that. And I was like, now there's actually 3 issues out already, if you didn't know. And
so that's good to know. I'll have to grab number 3.
So I'm missing 2 issues now, and I'm not sure if I'm ever going to receive number 2 because of that. So
right.
Because apparently it happens, I think, in this part. So none of the comic book, like I looked even on eBay, to see if I could maybe get it from none. Even eBay has it, so in UK based. So I presume maybe it's going to become a rare, a rare issue number 2. Eh?
Ah, shit. Well, it's a good thing I grabbed it then.
Oh yeah, or yeah. So you send it to me. I have number 1 now. You have 2. You just send it. I realize send it back.
Yeah, you're right. I'll just put a stamp on the cover and shoot it. Put some tape it shut, and put it in the mail.
And flame-proof mail, please, because
Right.
that's what it
Yes.
happens. Don't forget, it is exploding the Jimbo. So I think it's well, I don't have issue 2 or 3, so he had problems with both of them. So I don't know what the hell happens. So I don't know which one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to find issue 1 here in the city. I haven't scoured the shops yet, but I figured I'd grab number 2 after you and Damien talking about it the past couple of weeks. I figured I should just grab the damn thing before it's too late.
Yeah, well, there's only 5 issues, isn't it? Long, so
something like that, 4 or 5. Yeah, not very long.
So I guess I can just, if I can't get hold of it, I have to get it in format. But I really do enjoy having singles.
Yeah.
So I love the combination generally. So I mean, it's just him doing that stuff. And when is this your Saigo Jimbo comic book coming on? Come on, Dark Horse, what's happening? Hello, knock knock. You there?
They've got their focus on Corbin right now. They can't fuck up the Corbin releases, so everything else is by the wayside.
Oh, I see. Because I saw the one you showed, the book you said it came out. I looked at it on my side of the world, and they said it's only going to come out in this part in August.
Oh, really? For the Murky World?
Yeah, the one you showed on your video.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was like, surely
why would it
something
be so different?
Everywhere I looked at like people who sell a couple of people websites I know who sells the collected editions, and all of them says August. I was like, would you have a special?
No. This is the release here in North America. It's released officially here in North America. The next one that comes out, I think, is Den, and that one is August. Yeah, that one is August.
I saw Den as well.
The Murky World is out. Yeah, that's weird.
That's what I was thinking. But I mean, I just wanted to see, how, if it's out in here. And I was like, really? What happened? I don't know. What happened? Maybe it is out on them.
Yeah, no, that's weird. Maybe it's a different release date for Europe. Although that wouldn't make any sense to me. Nope. I've never heard of that happening before.
Nope.
Unless it's a translation thing. So they got to translate it from English that we speak to the English that you all speak. Yeah. That's what they have to do.
You're talking about the correct English, yes?
Yeah. Sure. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay. On that note, the correct English from correct place of welcome.
I think there's going to be a few Den books. So the first one is going to be Den Neverwhere, and then I think they're also going to reprint the Fantagor Press stuff that he did later in his own published company. And I think there's going to be, I don't know, I thought I saw today that there was going to be 2 volumes of those. I'm pretty sure. So I think there's going to be 3 Den books total there, Ragamuffin.
So you know that the Comic Rack is going to be just a bit of in debt because he just needs to get those books, isn't he?
I mean, I need them. I can't not have them, especially if they're putting them out. Especially if they do such a nice job as they did with this first one with the rest, which I imagine they will. I need that shit, man.
But you have them collected already, don't
I do, yeah, but it doesn't matter. I need these. Doesn't matter.
So, how many triple dips you doing?
On the Den stuff, well, I mean, the Den I've got in Heavy Metal magazine. I've got the collected editions of those 2, the soft covers and a hardcover, I think. And then I'll be getting these Dark Horse ones too. And then for his stuff he did with Fantagor, I've got all those single issues as well too. And I'll be getting the hardcover of that. I mean, he's an artist, like, I'll easily double and triple dip, no problem whatsoever. Especially, like I said before, the ones I'm really looking forward to is the stuff that Villarubia recolors. I'm really, really curious to see, like, side by side with how he takes care of this stuff. And I think Neverwhere is going to be the first one that Villarubia is in doing the recoloring. So I'm looking forward to that, to see how that translates.
Yeah,
I have this. I don't have this. Yeah, exactly right.
I wonder if you say that to your wife as well.
No, I don't. I just don't tell her. I sneak them in the middle of the night.
Yeah, exactly. You only have the stars. You see the stars above our heads? That's how you're supposed to get in.
Yes, I am the founder of the
Yeah.
Corbin fan club. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The stuff is so good, man. It's just so good. It's got big boobs. What else do you need?
That's the one porno Terrence has been sorted about for years. Just big boobs.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Curvy
Anyway.
women and big tits. And on that
Okay.
note, now I think we should say goodbye.
Yeah. Let's
Forget about this
depart.
Queen's English bullshit. This is boobies to end the show.
Cheerio.
Okay. Later.
Ta-ta. Bye-bye.